start. So weird. So, you want to know all about teaching English in Japan. The types of jobs, pros and cons. We will be talking about that and more on the Japan live stream show, where we talk about less talked about aspects of Japan and answer questions that you didn't even know you had. I'm your host, one more Guyjin, but just Daniel is fine, and I love sharing and uncovering Japan together with you. Thank you guys so much for stopping by, and if you're watching on the replay, glad to have you as well. Probably want to skip ahead just a couple of minutes, 5 to 10 minutes, to get to the meat of our content, or you can join us in chewing the mochi. Let me just look at a chat. How am I sounding? Can you guys hear me? Do I look good? Let me know what is going on in the chat right now, if you don't mind. And we're just gonna wait for some people to join us, and then we'll get started. We got My Hiroshima Live, Ryowa House Real Estate, super long name, coming in saying meat and sweet potatoes. I really would like to eat a sweet potato. Sounds great. Looks I do, looking at my stream health, it is kind of shifty, a little bit iffy right now. I'm sure it'll warm up, hopefully. Looks like chat is not coming on, of course. I never know why. I guess it just changes. Let's see. Whoop. We can fix that super easy. Restore chat. We'll just put it in there. Guys, I'm a pro at this. I'm a pro now. I know how to do everything, I think. Looks like StreamBot is running. Ready to go. Okay. Boom, there it is. Alright. Stream health is in the green. Just waiting for some people to come. We got everything. Yep. I think it looks okay now, hopefully. Hopefully not too bright, not too white. I'm a white guy. I'm super white. Like super pale. But yeah, so it's a Tuesday evening. Not much is going down right now. It's getting cold here in Japan. I mean, at least in Okayama. I don't know about all of Japan, but it's pretty chilly. Like at night, we've had to pull out our big guns, the big comforters and duvets and mofu, which is I don't really know what it is. It's like a down. It's not down. It's like a comforter. It's not a comforter. I don't know what it is. Mofu. Look it up. But yeah, it's pretty warm right now, or in my apartment. But I think everything is going okay. Cold here too. Do you have a kotatsu table? Yeah, so Midibbo's in the house as well. He's saying it's cold here too. Yeah, I mean it's getting that time of the year for the northern hemisphere. And then do you have a kotatsu table? I do. Actually, that is my main table throughout the year. And then when it gets cold, I do turn it on, and I love it. I love kotatsus. If you guys don't know what kotatsus are, basically it's a table, like a ground table that you can sit under. You sit under all tables, don't you? But like it's on the floor. Usually, the good ones, not the good ones, more expensive ones, you can sit in a chair. But the other ones that I have, you sit on the ground, and it's got a heater under it, and you put a cover sandwich in like in between the table. I'm doing a horrible job at explaining this, but yeah, it's like a heated blanket that going over the table, basically, kind of similar. Yeah, we brought a kotatsu to the States with a power converter. It was quite a hit. Yeah, it's pretty sweet. Like, you know, you don't have to turn on your heater. You just heat that area. I love it. Like, that's one of my favorite things to do in Japan is, yeah, sitting under the kotatsu, drinking some nihonshu, and eating some mikan, and I'll spend the whole day in that. I probably shouldn't. I should probably be busy doing other things, but you know what? You just gotta relax sometimes. It's a great thing. It was one of the first things I bought when I first came to Japan, because when I studied abroad, I had, you know, obviously, you know, gone through the kotatsu training. Kyushu Trail in the house. Good evening. Yes, good evening. Yeah, my Hiroshima Live says, don't fall asleep under it. You'll catch a cold. Yeah, yeah, that has been proven. But yeah, so you got in when I was studying abroad. I got in. What was it? My brain is too late right now. It's 10 o'clock. It was a homestay. I was studying at a homestay, and they had a really nice one. The one that actually, the table, and you can go in it. It's like there's the hole dug into the ground. And that is the best. But they're pretty expensive. I would assume. To have that all set up, ready to go. But it was so nice. It was so great. And you didn't have to like kill your back sitting in things. It was really nice. So that was one of the first things I bought when I moved back to Japan. But yeah, other than that, Me Dibble says other thing I loved was where people put the kotatsu over the old house fire pit. Yeah, I think that might have been what I was experiencing. My Japanese wasn't. I could barely talk when I first came here, and I wasn't super sure what exactly the whole system was, but I knew I loved it. And we watched Star Wars, the second one. We watched the Star Wars, well, the second, the second one that came out in Japanese, and it was really cool. And I had no idea what was going on, but. Yeah, I guess we're gonna go ahead and get started. We've already 6 minutes has passed. If you guys haven't liked the video, go ahead and give it a like and share it out, tweet it, do whatever you want to do. You can tweet, share it on Facebook. I don't know, share it with your mom. I don't know. But yeah, so we're gonna be talking about teaching English in Japan. I think a lot of you guys probably are, a lot of my viewers at this time at 10 o'clock at night probably already are in Japan. So if you're watching on the replay, please try to listen and take notes. Also, I have a whole playlist on this kind of stuff, and I'm actually kind of condensing that stuff into this live. So if you want to check that out, that is on the eye over in that corner over there. So we're going to be talking about the different types of jobs. So there are three main ones. We're going to be talking about their pros and cons. We're going to be talking about resume and interview tips. So I have been a part of the hiring process for both of my jobs that I've done, my teaching jobs that I've done here in Japan. So I've seen a lot of resumes. I've given a decent amount of interviews, and I've seen some good stuff, and I've seen some pretty bad stuff. And of course, I'll be giving my thoughts at the end. Me Dibble, other thing I love it. Well, I already read that. 1 p.m. here. Wish I was in Japan. Yeah. It's yeah. Japan is a nice place. I mean, I'm glad. I try not to take it for granted too much. Sometimes I do, and sometimes things in Japan kind of irk me a little bit too much. And I just kind of remember, like, a lot of people would much rather be in my position than where they are. So you can get here someday, again, and just visit. So speaking of that, I do have a little bit of bad news. Not bad news. It's just things going on with the channel. So this is the 10th episode of the Japan live stream show. I'm pretty happy that I made it to 10. I think I've done some pretty cool stuff, and I've really enjoyed talking with all of you guys. I think I'm gonna have to probably not do a weekly show. I will still be doing lives, and actually the next live I'm gonna be doing will be with My Hiroshima Live. We got some really cool stuff coming up about apartments and getting apartments in Japan, renting, and the whole renting process. Really amazing stuff coming up, so I'm super excited with that. So that's gonna be the next live. I don't know exactly when that's going to be, but I'm probably going to just switch over to monthly lives. Most of all, it's just time. Like I said, I really love the community and what I've been. Yeah, is it called 9, not 10? Oh, sorry, that's a mistake. Luciolin, how's the resident tax? Can you afford to enjoy life in between karoshi? The resident tax isn't too bad. It's not too bad. Huh? I don't know. Yeah, so like I said, I was saying, it's gonna be a monthly thing. Like I said, it's just time. I don't have enough time to do actual regular content now, and I also have the JLPT into test coming up on December 1st, so I really need to start buckling down and studying in November. And yeah, I just want to do more regular content, but I will be doing a monthly thing, maybe bi-monthly. I'm not gonna set it in stone. And I wish I could. Like if this was my full-time job, like I would definitely be doing it every week, probably even more than once a week. But it's not, and I just need the time. So hopefully you guys can understand. And if you are super angry with me, please just leave them in the comments, and I will take those to heart. But we're still gonna see each other, so don't worry about that. All right. Yeah. So me, Dibble, saying we understand you have a life. Yeah. Thank you. Like I said, I do just have the wedding coming up next year, and also the Japanese test coming up that I just need to pass. That's one of my things that I've just been putting off so long. I'm a big procrastinator, and I've been putting that off for so long. So yeah, but let's get back to the live. You guys came here for some good information, and I want to give that to you guys. Yeah. So, like I said, we're going to be talking about different types of jobs, the pros and cons, some resume and interview tips, and of course, my thoughts on what we're going to be, all the English kind of industry and things. I'm hosting an into study session on November 1st in Hiroshima, a little far for you. Yeah. 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 So let's get into the content, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. So for those of you guys who have just joined, we're talking about teaching English in Japan, how to get jobs, and what kind of jobs there are. Let me just make sure everything's going okay. All right. Okay. All right. So there are three main things I think is how I lump them together. The first one is ALT, or Assistant Language Teacher. And I lump that in together with JET, which is Japan Exchange Teaching. I'm such a noob. What does JET stand for? It doesn't. I know it doesn't. It doesn't stand for English, which a lot of people make that mistake for some reason. The Japan Exchange and Teaching. Okay, yeah, that's what I think. That's what I said. I said that. Yeah, Japan Exchange and Teaching program. They do the same thing. They are assistant teachers in elementary schools, junior high schools, and high schools, and they teach English at those places basically. And they go to different. They can go to different schools throughout the week. Some of them only go to one school. There's a bunch of different situations, but usually they are not a main teacher. Lutel, can I work as ALT with JLPT in 5? Yes, you can. You don't need any Japanese experience, which is something that I will get into. Jumping energized teachers, yes. JET, yes, that is them. So that's the first one, ALT and JET. Second one is Eikaiwa, which is private English schools. Basically, the students that you get there can range from babies really to like super old people. Like my oldest was 80 something years old. Like he remembered the end of World War II. He was little then, but it was, yeah, that was pretty cool. Talking to him about that kind of stuff. So, what happens with that is the school kids will come after their school, and then they'll have a lesson with you, obviously in English. And then in the morning or in the early afternoons, usually not in the mornings, but in the early afternoons, you'll have like people who, like adults basically. A lot of like women who don't have a job, but they work at home. A lot of those people come, and then in the evenings you can also have some older students as well. So that's the second one, and then the third one is kindergarten teacher or preschool teacher. Now this is where you work at an international preschool or kindergarten is what I'm doing this. There are some jobs like Eikaiwa that will dispatch their teachers to kindergartens like once a week or something. What I'm talking about is an international preschool teacher or kindergarten teacher who works at one school all week, and they see the same students all the time. So that is the three things. So ALT, JET, the Eikaiwa, and then the kindergarten teacher. So those are the three. I look at JET, but I don't have the education, and now I'm too old. Yeah, so JET is really difficult to get into comparatively to all the others. They're financed by the government, I think, halfly, kind of. And yeah, it's kind of run by the government. And the pay is a lot better, and there's a lot more support than other various teaching jobs in Japan. So, I have worked as a Eikaiwa teacher. Mark Hikes says, thank you for joining as well. There's no longer any age cap on JET. Yeah, so Mark actually worked as a JET teacher for, I think, did you work the full 5 or did you work 3? I don't remember. Yeah, so he can lend us some insight onto that. So I've never worked as an ALT or JET. I've never done that, but I have plenty of friends who have, and I think I have a pretty good insight into it as well. I worked Eikaiwa for about 4.5 years to 5 years in one place, and now I'm currently a kindergarten teacher, and I've been there. I'm on my 4th year. I work for the Detroit consulate as a recruit since coming Ome. Did you just call me Ome? I think on. But you're 3. Okay. Oh wait, that's the 3. I was like, what does the 3 mean? Okay, you worked for 3 years and then you worked for the Detroit Council as a recruiter. Okay, I got it. I think. Yeah. So first, we're gonna talk about the and if you guys have done these, still have done these jobs, please chime in. Let me know if if it's different from where you are, and if I'm just saying something completely wrong, please let me know. Lutu Olin, I'm sorry, I really don't know how to pronounce your name, so I'm trying my hardest. What's Interact like? I have a bunch of my friends have worked for Interact, and from what I've seen, it's a mixed bag. Some places can be really good, like some locations can be really good. Some can be pretty bad. I do know that the one thing I don't like about Interact is during the summer break, you get your pay cut. So, because you're not working, they cut your pay by, I think, almost 50%. So, that's the one thing I don't like about Interact. But other than that, where I was, my friends who worked with Interact, they seem to be pretty happy with them. They got cars, which is a really big pro. Of ALT. So they got cars, and they seem to really enjoy the kids and the schools and stuff. But that was in my location. I have heard of places with Interact that have not been as good. So actually, that's what we're going to talk about next, are the pros and cons of all these places. So we're going to start with ALT, and we're going to start with the pros. So the pros of being an ALT is it tends to be a little bit more relaxed compared to, I think, Eikaiwa, or at least the Eikaiwa that I worked in other places that I know, and being a kindergarten teacher. And in that there's a lot more downtime, I feel. Like sometimes you don't even have classes, on a day. Like you'll go to the school and they're like, well, we don't really have a class for you, so you can join the gym class. I know a lot of my friends talked about that. So I feel like it is a little bit more relaxed compared to the other two in some places, not all the places. It's not going to be true for everything. And then another big pro is what we were talking about was the summer break. You get a sweet summer break. Some places require you to come, some places don't. Some places pay you your full pay on your summer break, some places don't. So you have to do your research and figure out which one that you're looking into, which one they do and how they do it. So the summer break is really good, obviously, because you can go around and tour Japan, go to places that you haven't been, and go to different prefectures and stuff. So being an ALT is a really good job if you just want to work for like a year or two and you want to experience Japan and really want to travel a lot around it. Yeah, so that's one of the big pros. This is the summer break. The Eikaiwa does not get a summer break. I mean, we get a week break. We don't get the big long 2-month break. And kindergarten we get a summer, like the obon, basically the obon holidays. And then I, what was it? Yeah, so working as an ALT, you can also see the really cool everyday life of Japanese students. You know, if you guys watch anime, which I'm sure a lot of you guys do or have, and if you haven't, I'm trying, I'm not trying to put you into that lump, but you see kind of like a lot of school time anime and stuff where you can kind of experience that real Japan. Like you can go into, you can see how the students, are learning in their schools and how the Japanese schools differ from your home countries. And you can also like sometimes join into the clubs and stuff. Like if you want to do kendo, you can do kendo. If you want to join the karate club, you can join karate. Some places do prohibit it, but I think most places want you to kind of put yourself in there and speak English to the students and get them used to foreigners and speaking English, at school. So I think that's a really cool thing, and that's one of the things I wish I could have seen was the everyday life of the Japanese students. And also, kind of going off of that, you can participate in a lot of the school events. Like they have like the culture events. They have like sports day, which I've heard is kind of annoying sometimes. But they have a bunch of various different school events, and you can participate and have fun with the kids doing those kinds of things. So that's kind of what I've seen are the big pros about AOT. If you guys have any more, please put them into the chat or the comments down below. And the cons, I feel like the big one is the bureaucracy. Like you're working for a company that is dispatching a lot of teachers to different schools, and they have to deal with their bosses inside the company. You have like a head teacher, then they have like a boss who's overseeing them. You have all of that, and then you have like the board of education for each school who are picking these teachers, and they're buying the contracts that these the ALT companies are putting out. Basically, they'll say like, "Hey, we'll give you a teacher for this amount of money," and those companies are trying to undercut each other all the time. They're trying to win those contracts from the boards of education. Jet's a little bit different. It works a little bit different, but you still have all these like head teachers and other different teachers around, and then you also have the teachers, the Japanese teachers in your schools, kind of telling you what they want and what they want you to do. So there's a lot of bureaucracy, and I've seen a lot of my friends who have had to deal with it say it's really annoying, because sometimes you'll go to one school who will fully utilize you as an English speaker, or someone who has studied teaching, or has maybe even an education degree, getting told how to teach, or they'll have you just being like a human tape recorder. They'll just have you just reading from a book and having the other students repeat, and you don't get to use any of your skills. You don't get to make the class fun. Yeah, so just kind of picking up things. Mark says it really depends on the schools. I was forbidden from joining any sports clubs because they thought I would distract them from practice. Yeah, that could definitely be seen as happening, I think. I did end up running the tea ceremony club though, so there you go. There you have that kind of stuff as well. It says ESID, every situation is different. Yeah, I think that's kind of the model for as an AOT as well. Is it easy to renew 1-year ALT contracts? Good job stability for 3 or 4 years? It depends. If you're an okay teacher, yes. If you're trying to go in there and change how they teach or change their way or saying they're wrong, or not really blending into them, then you're not going to get renewed. But most of the time, it's pretty easy to get renewed for 3 to 4 years. Because what a lot of ALT companies they want people, they want stable people. They don't want to be going through teachers every year. They want to have a good teacher who can go to the school, who knows the school, who knows the the teachers and who knows the students and who can interact well. So if you're, even you don't have to be the perfect teacher, but you have to show that you want to learn and you want to do well. If you're doing all that kind of stuff, you're going to get renewed. It's pretty easy, I think. Is there a penalty if you quit AOT contract after 3 or 6 months to go work at a better company? You're asking some pretty good questions. There is no penalty. Sorry, I'm getting dry. I always do. There is no penalty. They will always ask. A lot of places ask for 3 months, like to tell them 3 months ahead. You don't have to. That they'll even put it in the contract. You don't have to. You can give them 2 weeks if you want. But I will tell you, if you do that with your first year in your first contract, it's going to look bad on you, because if you want to go to another better company, maybe what they're seeing basically is that, hey, this person isn't able to work a year. You know what I'm trying to say? They're seeing like, okay, this person's already trying to go to a different job. Now I know there are different situations, but it's not going to look very good. So I would suggest trying to at least finish a year. It's not that long. Even if you're going through some really bad stuff, which you can. There are some pretty shady places, but even if you're going through those kinds of situations, I would suggest trying to finish a year, and then trying to find another place. But it would be my advice. Me Dibble says fun and education should run hand in hand. It definitely should. Working as a kindergarten teacher, it has to. There were some pros, but the pay was junk. Oh yeah, so coming to Japan and wasn't a fan of AOT work. There were some pros, but the pay was junk. Yep. Yeah, I mean, I don't get paid much either as a kindergarten teacher, so but I know I do make more than ALTs. Probably not yet though. I don't know. I do get overtime and stuff, so maybe, I don't know. I'm not making much though. Robert, thank you so much for joining us. Hello. I'm just trying not to go dry again. So that was one of the cons, the bureaucracy we talked about. You guys are asking some great questions and also giving me some good insights as well. So another con is you don't get your own class. Usually you always have an assistant in there with you, and sometimes they will let you run the class, and sometimes they won't. Like, it depends on the school. Like like Mark said, every situation is different. Chillin' in Kansai. Hey kids, house tricks. I don't know what that means, but hello and welcome to the channel. Sorry, welcome to the stream. We're just talking about teaching English, and I'm trying not to die from coughing as usual. Nothing has changed. So yeah, you don't get your own class in being an ALT most of the time. So if that's something you want, working as an ALT is probably gonna be kind of annoying to you. And we talked about this a little bit, was you don't know how you're going to be utilized. Some places will use you really well. They will have you, talking with the students, teaching new vocabulary, doing games with them, doing all kinds of things. And then some places will just they'll use you as a tape recorder. And you don't know, and it could change your next year, the next contract, if you get different schools or a different teacher. Don't know. Mark says it is in most AL contracts that you cannot leave the class. Yeah, that's why I say. I mean, I don't know if it's 100%, but I'm pretty sure. Yeah, you're not going to be leading a class, but the teachers will kind of sometimes. Some of the teachers will let you, be the main part of the class, but overall they have the say. Robert. LOL, couldn't be a teacher, kids scream me out. Yeah, well, see, you could be an eikaiwa, which is a great transition to what we're going to be talking about. Eikaiwa. So, with eikaiwa, some of the pro of this is you get various ages and abilities. This is actually a con as well. So the pro is, if you don't like kids, you don't have to teach them. You're not teaching them all the time. You're going to be teaching adults. You're going to be teaching also high school students, and even, like I said, I had a couple 80-year-old students and 70 and 60s. So it was really cool. And if you want to become an actual teacher, maybe not here in Japan, but you want to be an actual teacher, it's really good training because you get those various ages and you get a bunch of varying abilities in English. So it's really good kind of training. You get to see a lot of different teaching situations, and that really helped me out. Uh, as an ALT, can you go drinking and socialize with that kawaii math teacher you share the staff room with? I have no I don't know. I think a lot of schools do frown upon it, but you always see like, and actually the teachers got married. I think as long as you're not being like super, in public with it, I think it is probably okay. But I don't take my word for it. Um, that should probably be the least of your worries though. um, just getting your foot in the door and doing a good job first would probably suit you well. Mark says, yeah, you will go out with some of the teachers and stuff, the nomikais and everything. Yeah, so we're talking about the Eikaiwas. Yeah, so various ages and abilities. That is a con as well because if you are a new teacher, it's very, very challenging to deal with different ages because they take language differently and different abilities. Some are starting from zero, scratch, nothing. And some, I had English teachers, like English, like junior high school and high school English teachers in my class. So it was, just there was just all kinds of different situations that I was in. One of the other pros is that basically you start later in Eikaiwa. Usually you start, like I started at 12. Of course, you work later as well, which is a con. You're working from 12 to 9 is usually what I did. That kind of can shift an hour, early or an hour later. But usually, you're working a lot later. So, if you're a night owl, you can kind of stay up all night, and as long as you get up at around 11 o'clock, then you're ready to go. You can you can teach. You can be in the school at 12. So, um, I did that for 4.5 to 5 years, and that got a little bit old though for me. Like my changing background, it's pretty cool. Another pro that I think is a pro is you get Mondays off in Eikaiwa usually. And why that is a pro is because on Mondays everyone else is working while you can go to all the touristy places near you, and there's gonna be hardly anyone there. So it's a really good time to do things like that. Like I used to go snowboarding on Mondays, and no one was on the mountain. Like I would be like by myself almost. Like it was seriously maybe like there were like 3 or 4 people more on the whole entire mountain. It was amazing. It was really cool. It was one of my favorite things to do. You just had the whole entire mountain to yourself. So you can do things like that because you get Mondays off. But you have to work Saturdays. So that's a lot of the times when you get the businessmen coming in. That's when they have time to take English classes. So a lot of the Eikaiwas are open on Saturday. So usually you work from Tuesday to Saturday. And working on Saturdays suck because a lot of your ALT friends have that day off, and they're going to clubs and having a good time, and you're working on a Saturday night, and that really is a bummer sometimes. So that was kind of the pros of Eikaiwa. The cons of Eikaiwa, we talked about the late days and having to work on Saturdays. That sucks. And usually most Eikaiwas are going to have a set curriculum and way of how to teach. And they're very, very inflexible with that. I had to use the textbooks that they gave me, I had to teach the way that the textbook told me. So there's really very little room to kind of put your own flair on things as well. I'm just gonna call you Loot. Loot. I heard at Nova, if you socialize with students, you get fired. So yeah, Nova is an Eikaiwa place. I'm not super sure about Nova. I think that does sound familiar, but I do know that some Eikaiwas absolutely, positively, it's banned. You can't socialize with students outside of class. My place was a little bit better. They weren't like really bad with it, but they didn't want you doing it too often. But the teacher, like the 3 or 4 teachers before me at that same company, also married one of his students. So, I mean, but that was a private place. I worked at a private place, not a big company like Nova or Eon. I think for the most part, yeah, some places you can't really do that. But I mean, you can just be super secretive about it. I don't know, but I would suggest just making friends outside of school, because you don't want to be just talking about class and stuff all the time. At least I wouldn't. But another con for Eikaiwa is you can't really go up in position. Like if you're a teacher, sorry, I'm getting out my light. If you're a teacher, you are a teacher, and you might be able to come up to be maybe like a recruiter or something, but it's kind of a glass ceiling. There's nothing to go past, I guess. Chilling Kansai, I've been out of the Eikaiwa biz for a while. Do they run the classes as a series, beginning, ending dates, levels, etc.? My place did not, for the most part. They would start new classes for like elementary school students, but a lot of the times we would keep a class all the way through, and we just called that class like 1 or like C2 or something like that. And it was we knew their level, and if any new students came to us, and we would kind of put them, they would ask them what kind of level they think they are, have they studied before, what kind of study, and then we would kind of slot them into that class and have like a test. And maybe if we didn't quite feel like they could fit in that, but we knew another class, we would put them in there. That's how we did it. But there of course were like levels that we didn't tell the students, but we knew. I'm sure other places do it differently. My kindergarten now, so in the morning I do kindergarten, and then in the afternoon I do kind of an Eikaiwa. It's a lot different than most Eikaiwas, because we're giving like 3-hour lessons for some of the kids. But we do have levels. Like every year there's there basically we have like 6 levels for elementary school. So the first, second, third, and we try to put them in by age, and that's giving us problems. Just because you can get different levels. Like you can have a much younger kid who has studied before, and they go into like a beginner, like the first class, and they just blow everything out of the way, out of the water. So that's giving them some problems. So we're trying to actually kind of fix that. Hopefully I answered your question. I kind of just went on a tangent. I don't know. So that's Eikaiwa, and then speaking of kindergarten, another great transition by the one and only One More Guyjin. Kindergarten. So the pros of kindergarten. Chilling Kansai says, yeah, so it's 6 pretty close to the academic school year. Yeah, I think most of the time, most places do. Maybe. But anyways, let's go to the kindergarten. So, big pro about working in kindergarten is you get to see cute Japanese kids. They're so adorable. Just some of the things they do and the situations that you find yourself in. They're just like, this is hilarious. It's really cool. It's one of my favorite things. Working with the kids is just how awesome they are. And another one is you get to do things other than English. So English is obviously the primary reason that the mothers and fathers are sending their kids to this the international kindergarten. But we don't always make it a focus. We're doing things like math, and we're doing some science stuff and some sports, and then we're doing like gymnastics and crafts and stuff, and all of that is in English. And we're not always making a lesson out of it. Some of the kids can, they don't need English lessons anymore, but we're just doing everything in English, and that's really cool to me. Like, I don't have to always be focusing on teaching English. It's more I'm teaching social skills and how to deal with their problems, like how to share toys and how to play card games and stuff. And that's really cool to me because teaching English can get a bit monotonous. How long do you plan to stay in Japan? Are you on a spousal visa? I am not on a spousal visa yet. I could be, but we're just kind of taking our that kind of stuff slowly. Right now, I'm on a 3-year work visa. On my first year of that, I have to check. But I'm married and to a Japanese citizen, and she is actually in the room behind me. I'm probably watching this. I don't know if she is. Adisa, are you watching? She said yes. So I plan to stay in Japan probably forever. Forever is a really long time, but for this is kind of my decision that I've made. I got married in Japan, married a beautiful Japanese woman who is so good to me. Hopefully, is she hearing this? Are you hearing this, Adisa? Maybe, I don't know. And I can't take her back to America. It was my decision to come here and my decision to do all that. So I plan on staying here in Japan forever. Deleted by stream elements. You got what timed out? Why? I don't know why. Let me fix that. View deleted. You were typing in caps. Hold on. Let me see if I can do something about that. Mark got timed out by the bot. Why is that? Hold on. No. I don't know how to fix that. I don't know why. View deleted message. Sorry, I have to take the cap thing out. That's kind of weird. I don't know how. How do I fix this? No, I can't. Sorry, Mark. Mark says I make hella money now, but I regret ever coming back to the States. Money ain't everything, people. Sorry. Oh, there you go. Yeah. I maybe I have to change the bot there for he's getting a little bit angry about all the caps, I guess. Yeah. So like you said, money isn't everything. As long as you're happy, if you're happy in Japan, you're happy in Japan. If you're happy in the States, you're happy in the States. Sorry, I'm getting a little bit, the bot thing kind of threw me off. Chilling Concept, do you have a master's? No, I do not. I don't ever plan on getting a master's. Just because I think I can learn most of my stuff now, on YouTube and other things and just real life. I didn't have a teaching degree. I don't think I'm the best teacher. And I think a teaching degree would have definitely helped in the beginning, but now I think I have a pretty good, understanding. I do read teaching books now, and I have had a lot of experience, and I think experience makes a lot of difference. I mean, I'm a completely different teacher than when I first started, but yeah. Pros of kindergarten. Sorry. Yeah. So we get to do other things other than English. Yeah. Like I said, we get to work on our social skills and stuff, and you also have a more free roam of the class. You're not using any textbooks usually in an international kindergarten. The kids are like 3 years old. I teach 5 to 6 year olds, and we do use some reading books, but not textbooks. So how you teach vocabulary, how you teach grammar, what kind of crafts you do. For my school, it's all left up to me. And our other teachers. So we do have a curriculum, and we have a theme for each month. Like, for example, October right now, we're learning about Halloween and ghosts and stuff. But on top of that, we're also learning like what's the difference between real and imaginary. Using how we also have to teach like will and want. So those different things. we have those goals, but then however you want to teach it is up to you. So I like that. I'm not sure if all international kindergartens are like that, but I think a fair amount of them are. And also since you see your kids mostly every day, like as an ALT and a Kaiwa teacher, you're not seeing your kids every day. You get to see so much improvement in your kids, and you really feel like you are making that improvement. It's because of you, which is really cool to see. Like I don't know, for a teacher to be able to see that kind of improvement, it's really cool. That's one of my favorite things as well. Because in Eikaiwa, I was seeing my kids once a week, so you're seeing them, 4 times, 3 times a month. Like you see improvement, but it's really, really small and little. So, but these kids are coming almost every day, and yeah, so you just see so much improvement. Let's go back. I don't know why my chat is like cut out here like that. Oh God, what did I just do? I didn't change anything. Okay, is anything changing if I do that? Is stuff changing for you guys? I hope not. So, Loot, any opinions on Kids Duo Winby English School? I know some Kids Duo people. I think they do enjoy it. But I think it's not quite an international preschool. It's close, but it's more a Kaiwa, I think. I don't want to say too much because I just don't know that much about those. I do know of them, but I don't want to give you any wrong information or anything. So sorry. Channeling contact experience has helped smooth out the rough spots. You should consider the masters, though. University gigs are pretty decent. Yeah, I don't. I know where you're coming from, but I don't want to be teaching English my whole life here. I'm trying to do other things. Using my Japanese. Hopefully that's one of the reasons I'm taking N2. And I'm trying to get Okayama more well known for foreigners and stuff is my kind of big thing I want to do. So I'm just using teaching English right now as a jumping spot off. I mean, it's been 8 years, and I kind of finally figured that out. So, I guess slow and steady wins the race. Yeah. So, the cons of kindergarten, it is a lot of work. It is a lot more work than ALT and Eikaiwa. Because you're doing so much things by yourself. You have to be teaching, not only English, but, crafts and working on their social skills, emotional things. Sometimes you have kids who have learning disabilities. And that is all your responsibility. So if you don't know what you're doing, you can really screw up some kids. So like I said, I teach 5 to 6-year-olds, and that's the year before they go into elementary school. So I have to get those kids ready for elementary school. That's on me, and they don't go to, like, this isn't an Eikaiwa where they go to a normal school in the beginning and then after they go to a little bit of English. No, I'm responsible for all of that. So they come to me to learn, math and stuff like that. Stuff that they're gonna need for elementary school. So it's a lot more work and responsibility. And another one is you have to deal with helicopter parents. If you guys don't know the term helicopter parents, mostly you probably do, but they're the parents that that they have to be involved in everything, and they think that the teacher doesn't know best and things like that. You have to deal with that, and they're trying, like, well, this isn't how you should teach, and this is what you should do. Luckily, I don't have too many parents like that, but I do have some parents who they don't trust me fully. Usually at the end of the year they do, but you just have these parents that they're just sometimes a pain in the butt to deal with. They think that their kid is the best, and such an angel, and that's sometimes not the case at all. It usually isn't if you have a helicopter parent. Yeah, so let's go back. Yeah, just down the road from it. Yeah, Okayama. Yep, not too far from Kansai. What are your top 3 Japanese food ingredients? Ingredients? I like shiso, which is like Japanese basil. That's one of my favorite things ever. I like ponzu. Is that an ingredient? Which is like yuzu or citrus fruit and shoyu or soy sauce. Sorry. Um, I'm looking ingredients. Shiso, ponzu. I guess shichimi. Shichimi is like seven spices. It's kind of a spicy like herb and spice mix. This is a weird question. I've never got like usually you get like what are your top 3 Japanese foods, but not food ingredients. That's a good one. I like that. Chilling concept. That's a great way to describe shiso. I think if you look up shiso, sometimes they will translate it to Japanese basil. And I can see it. Like at first I was like basil. It doesn't taste anything. Oh, it kind of does taste like basil. Not not in like a huge way, but it does have that aftertaste to it. I don't know. I love shiso. It's one of my favorites. But mm, now we are talking about resume and interview tips. Now this is a one that I if you guys haven't been listening, which I hope you have, I hope you guys listen to this stuff. If you guys are trying to get a new job teaching in Japan, or if you're trying to change in the industry, if you're going from Eikaiwa to another Eikaiwa, or if you're going from ALT to kindergarten, I've been a part of the hiring processes for both of the companies I've worked, and I've seen some really bad stuff, and I've seen some really good stuff. So I hope this will help you guys. I was gonna say something else. Oh yeah, if you haven't liked the video, please like it. Ta-da. So, the one thing that I would suggest always putting on your resume, if you're new to Japan, if you've never been in Japan, you're trying to get in a job in Japan teaching English, no matter what industry, you have to kind of convince the hire. Thank you, Robert, for liking it. Love it. Hope I hope you're actually obviously liking the content as well. You have to convince a hire that you're not going to be a liability in Japan. And what I mean by that is you're not going to come for 1 month, realize you screwed up, and you're going through some horrible culture shock and go back home. So you have to kind of convince them that you have Japanese experience. Either you can speak a little bit of Japanese, or you're really good with new environments or something like that. So make sure you do that if it's your first job in Japan. You're just coming from your home country to Japan. Just keep that in mind. If not, if you're in Japan, and this is my pet peeve when I look at resumes and interview people. If you're already in Japan, you don't need to tell us how much you love Japan. Like, I know it. Like, that's fine. That's the reason you're in Japan. That's great. We don't care. We had so many, like they had worked like 3 or 4 years already in Japan, and they keep talking about how much they love Japan and how much they want to visit these places and stuff. It's like we don't care now. You've proven that you can live in Japan for 3 years already. Please tell us what kind of teacher you are. We want a good teacher for our company. We don't want people who love Japan so much, especially if you've already, proven that. We just saw it all the time. So if you are switching, you don't need to say that stuff anymore. So I'm retired from computer field, but it's interesting to see how different people in different occupations do in Japan. Yeah, I'm glad you're enjoying that. Thank you, Loot, for liking it. Hey, Simon, Aisa is listening, I believe. Maybe yeah. Yeah. So we're kind of catching the tail end, but we're talking about resume and interview tips if you're trying to get a job in Japan or switching in the industry. So yeah, so you don't need to tell us how much you love Japan if you've already worked in Japan. It's just not needed. So what you should be saying, what you should be talking about, is how much you're interested in teaching and how much you love kids, or how much you love teaching and why you love teaching. That kind of stuff. That's what helps. We don't care how much you love Japan. I keep saying that. Also a big one is, Salute has been in here asking a lot of questions um, about that, and that's good. That's that's what you should be doing if you're trying to get a job here in Japan. You have to do your research. You have to be looking into the companies and seeing. There's a bunch of reviews, and you can read a bunch of stuff on Reddit, and you have to be looking at this kind of stuff and seeing which industry will fit you, and which kind of company will fit you. I knew that um I knew that I didn't want to work for a big company. I applied to ALT jobs, but no, I don't even think I did. I didn't. No, I didn't. I only applied to Eikaiwa jobs. Um, because I wanted to get a bunch of different experiences teaching different kids, and I didn't apply to the big companies. I applied to small private places that I felt, and I would go to their website. You can go to Guyjin.com if you're looking. I'll put that in the chat. Um, it's just that's the big one that I got both my jobs from, and I highly recommend Guyjinpodcast.com. You should not only be applying through there, but you should be going to these places' websites and looking at their kind of philosophy, what kind of classes they're doing, what kind of teachers they have on staff and stuff, and looking at all of that and seeing what do you think would fit you most. So it requires some work on your part. How do you feel about asking questions of the interviewers? You beat me to it. Did I? Did I answer that? If I didn't, just ask it again. I'm not sure I quite understand. How do you feel about asking questions of the interviewers? Is it still not Obi-Wan Kenobi time, or is that on Thursday? No, we already had it on Saturday. We had it. I was I was Obi-Wan Kenobi. Actually, I think it went pretty well. It was very hot, but the beard definitely gave it. Yeah. So, and if you're working for as an ALT, you have to, if you're trying to get a job for an ALT, you have to realize this is something you also a lot of new people's always they kind of don't know. You have to realize that ALT companies are trying to satisfy the Board of Education. So you have to look the part of a teacher. That's gonna you can't. It depends, but if you want to have better your chances, you have to look like a teacher. Basically, you have to look like like someone. If someone from the BOE looked at your picture, they'll say, "Hey, that looks like a teacher." You know what I mean? So you have to realize that, and that these places, that's how they get their money, is through the contracts through the boards of education. So if the Board of Education doesn't like you, or how you look, or things like that, they're not going to hire you. So you have to realize that. Mark says, always have questions for interviews. Think of something. It shows that you're truly interested in this. Yeah. So asking questions like, what is your education philosophy? What do you do for your students who are having... like the interviewee asking the interviewer. Yes, of course. You should always be asking questions like that. Not even for an English teaching job. You should always have questions for the interview because also realize that you are interviewing them as well. You're making sure that the company that you're applying to is going to fit you as well. And they don't have all the power, and that's something that I think I did really well on my second company. Like I I was asking almost as many questions as they were asking me, because I wanted to make sure that I was going to a right place that would treat me right, and that I wanted to grow and to develop my teaching skills. So yeah, so always be asking questions like that. Do they have a curriculum? Do they use textbooks? Are there, is there freedom for you to use your own methods? Things like that. So don't ask how much you pay. Like if that's one of your first questions, it's not good. It's good. They just realize that you're not really here to teach. Um, But that's I think is the normal advice for any job interview, I think. Yeah, so we said, AOT needs to satisfy the BOE. And the big one, if you're new and if you're switching in the industry, is show that you're willing to learn their way or a new way or anything like that. Like if you're coming from Eikaiwa to AOT, it's a different way of teaching. And each company has their different way. You have to make sure that they know that you know that, and that you're willing to teach their way. Like that's the big one. Because they don't want teachers coming in like, well, this way is so much better. Because they have their curriculum, they have everything that they've made. If you can make little changes here and there, but that's they don't really want that. Okay. And how I got my first job here when I applied to the Eikaiwa after my interview, well, I passed the first interview, then I gave a sample lesson. After my sample lesson on Skype, my question, and I know this is what got me the job because they told me so once I started working there for a couple of years. I asked them, what could I do better for my sample lesson? And they told me about 2 years ago, or 2 years after I was working for them already. They told me like that was the reason you got the job. Like you were 21, just out of university. You had no experience teaching English. We had people who already had experience teaching English already in Japan, but you asked that question, and that showed us so much more than any other interviewee had. So that's just show you're willing to learn and you want to learn like that, and their way. Like that's gonna put you above and beyond 99% of the people. Simon says, well, that's me down to a T, since I'm not a teacher. Excellent point. And Chilling Constance says, I have a favorite interview where I asked where they saw the school in 5 years. They didn't have a really good answer for that one. Oh, yeah. Oh, you asked that. Yeah, exactly. Like, you want to know what they're thinking about in the future. Like, are they going to be there? Like, are you going to have a job in 5 years if you stay there? Yeah, so, yeah, those are great. That's a great question. Like, you want to know. Yeah, and also you have to realize, I've already said this before, that these are businesses. ALT, Eikaiwa, and even the kindergartens, they're pretty much they're all businesses. The number one thing is money, unfortunately, and that kind of sucks because you want to teach the kids, you want to do well for the kids. Sometimes you can't. Sometimes they're businesses and they'll make the business decision rather than the other decision that you would go. So Simon says, gotta go Skyping with a friend in Hong Kong. See you, Simon. Thanks for stopping by. Always good to have you. Loot says you humbled yourself. Yeah, exactly. I think. I mean, maybe that's what I did. But I was just actually curious of what I could have done better, because I didn't have any experience teaching English, so I wanted to do better. And I think that, well, they said that's what got me the job. Closing out, I'll give some interesting things that one of the worst resume that we ever got was at my Eikaiwa job. So we were looking for a job. It was actually the posting to replace me. Because I quit. I was moving to Okayama City, and they had an opening online, but this guy sent mail, like snail mail, like a letter, and it was a thick letter. I listened to his interview and practice listening to great, especially with the fluent speaker predicting not to be able to pronounce S. Yeah, that confused me. Yeah, I didn't know how to, like, if I was supposed to correct him or like what. I was so confused. But thank you. I'm glad you thought I did well. Yeah, those good times. I forgot about that. Yeah, so this guy he sent us his resume in a letter. It's like thick, and I don't know what was going on, but he wrote a conversation down between him and our other teacher in Japanese. I don't know what he was trying to do. Like he's like, "Yo, how's it going?" Like whatever this guy's name is. Like, "Oh, it's going good. What did you do on the weekend?" Like it was this like whole like dialogue, and I don't know what he was trying to do. I think he was trying to like, "Hey, like I know how to speak Japanese." I don't know. It was really strange. It's very strange. And then we didn't even reply to him because we're just like, what do we do with this? So, and he sent us another one. It's like, um, you didn't reply to my resume, so I figured I would send you another. We didn't reply to that one either. It was really strange one. Also I forgot I didn't talk about this, but Japanese level. I think this is a good one to teach. You don't need Japanese to move to Japan. That being said, if you're moving to another country, you should learn their language. You don't have to be fluent, but it makes so much sense to learn the language. I an ALT and A Kaiwa is not needed that much though. As a kindergarten teacher, you definitely need it. Not even like just at least basic level, but I would even suggest like conversational level because some of the kids are still learning English, and if something happens, you know, something like an intruder comes, or you know, there's a fire, an earthquake, or whatever. Like some of these kids are panicking, they can't use English, and if you can't speak Japanese to them and you know relay information and get them to safety, or you know whatever happens, it's a big problem. So I think you should be, you know, at least trying to study Japanese when you come here. You don't have to be perfect, but you know, having that kind of base and showing that you know you're willing to learn Japanese as well, and you know get used to the culture and the society and everything. It's only going to do you good things. I remember when I first started applying, it was kind of up in the air about like, oh, did you know these AOT companies really want you to know Japanese, because that way you could only speak English to them, to the students, and they would get that authentic kind of English feel. Now I don't think that's true. I don't think that's true at all. I think that most places would rather you have like a basic understanding of Japanese. Just it makes it easier for your life. Oh man, I don't have any water. I'm super dry. But if you guys have any more questions or anything else you would like to say, um, please do it now. Meatable says, I would be screwed. I can hardly speak English, and I am English. Yeah, I mean, you learn a lot about your own language when you're teaching it, though. There's, yeah, like, there's so many things that, like, you know, like my student asked me when I first started here, or started in the Eikaiwa, they would ask me a question. I'm like, wow, that is a really good question. I don't know how to answer that. Like it was difficult, but you get used to that kind of stuff, and you just have to, you know, tell them like, hey, I don't know the answer right now. I will tell you next week. I'll look it up and I'll let you know, and that usually helps. Robert says, I know one good thing about you being in Japan. Your internet isn't third world like here in the U.S. Yeah, we have Hikari fiber, and I don't know. We can do a quick test to see how my internet is. Speed test. That might, hopefully that doesn't break the 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 stream. So let's see what our ping is 18. Our download is hitting 54 megabytes, looks like. And yeah, hit 55 megabytes per second. And our upload is 81. Whoa, there's Tokyo Drew. Yeah, he's a moderator. I forgot about that. Godzilla runs faster. Keep it going. Hey, Tokyo, Drew, we're just about finishing up here. Yeah, audience needs to go to pee. Pew! Ha! Ha ha! There we go. You didn't see her. Oh, wait, you saw her. Oh, well. Finally caught your stream. Yeah. Like I said, we're kind of already ending it almost here. But yeah, so the internet right now, upload is 55, or no, so download is 55, upload is 62. So It usually is faster in the afternoon, but you know, we are streaming and stuff, so yeah. So, but yeah, if you guys have any more questions or anything, just let me know. And we'll probably be getting off here. It's already 11:10. I'm getting sleepy and I don't have any water to drink and anything like that. But hopefully you guys, you know, learned down 220 up 21. Wow, you have slow net. Yeah, that's kind of yeah. That's pretty good for a down. I don't know why your up is so high. But, yeah, I'm also streaming right now, so I don't know if that has anything to do with it. I don't know. I don't really know. I do know is it is faster in the afternoon, but because no one's on. Yeah, but yeah, if you guys haven't liked the video already, please do like it. And I'm probably gonna go ahead and get off here. Let me switch over to our end screen. Boom, there's some music and stuff. Yeah, thank you guys so much for joining. If you haven't already, like the video, and then also if you want to check out my recent upload, check that way. No, that way. And if you haven't checked our other live streams, check down there. And if you haven't subscribed, hit the circle down below. Okay. You don't see anything right now, but in the replay, you'll see it. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining, and I will see you next time.